Berlin is a super fascinating city. The day I'm recording this, it is the Berlin Half Marathon. But if you're actually waiting for Berlin to be a quiet, sleepy city where you can record your video and don't get interrupted, you can probably never record anything. And I just wanted to show you that there's always something happening in Berlin. If you've been following me for a while, you might know that I was born and raised in Germany. I wasn't born in Berlin, but I spent most of my teenage years here. And I think it's a super fun, super fascinating city. I was living here before the wall came down, and in this video I want to, spread my love for Berlin and get you as excited about this fascinating city as I am. So follow me along, and I'll take you with me as I am showing you a little bit of the fun stuff in Berlin. Let's start at the beginning, because Berlin's roots go all the way back. It was founded in 1237, and it all started when merchants settled near what is today Museums Island. This is the Berlin Dome, and here is a part of the Nikolaiviertel that is pretty old. The Brandenburg Gate used to actually be the end of the city, and here is another building that I thought was just fun to look at. And Spandau, which has a bit of a competition, I guess, with the rest of Berlin, also has some really neat old buildings in their city, and it's always fun to poke around Spandau. And this is the oldest residence in Spandau, which was by a pretty wealthy merchant, and it now houses a museum and tourist information. The oldest building dates back to 1197. It's the original castle of the citadel Spandau. I absolutely love visiting this old place. In fact, my youngest brother got married right in here, which is pretty festive. And what's so cool is that it is built like a fortress now, and it has a moat around it in this really water-rich Berlin. There are some old doors from way back when. This was actually added onto over times, but you can visit the entire inside, which is actually really big. It had stables and everything. This is the top of the old Julius Tower. That is part of the original castle that was there, and you can walk all the way up and then go back down the steps. These are not the original steps, but it was pretty neat to see the inside of the tower. This is where people were living. This was the living quarters. Not very big, but I'm assuming that back there in this hole is where they cooked and had their fire. I couldn't really see if there was a chimney, but I'm assuming that there was a chimney. And here's the inside of the tower and the wooden staircase all the way up. It took me a while to get up there, and I got a little bit out of breath, but it was so worth it. Berlin was cut off from the West for 28 years during the Cold War era. Here's the background. After the Second World War, not only was Germany divided into 4 sectors, but also the entire city of Berlin. In 1961, the Eastern Bloc decided to wall off their sector against the West by building a wall. Berlin was therefore physically cut off from the rest of the West Germany, so supplies and people could only get in by air or tightly controlled roads and railways. Despite being isolated, West Berlin remained part of West Germany and was heavily supported by the West, especially by the US, Britain, and France. You can still see 0.8 miles, 1.3 kilometers of the Berlin Wall at the East Side Gallery, which is not just a historical monument, but also the longest open-air gallery in the world. The most famous part of the wall is the Bruderkuss, the brother kiss, that is based on a photograph between Brezhnev and Honecker in 1979. Berlin is a giant in more ways than one. Berlin is almost 9 times bigger in area than Paris. It has 3.9 million residents, a true metropolis. With 3,000 lakes and 1/3 of the city covered by green spaces, forests, parks, gardens, rivers, canals, it is the greenest metropolis in Germany. The Grunewald forest alone spreads across a whopping 7,400 acres. Berlin has between 916 and 2,100 bridges, depending on how you count them. And get this, Berlin has more waterways than Venice or Amsterdam. Berlin's public transportation system stretches over 2,779 miles, which is 4,473 kilometers. That's enough to circle the globe about 8.7 times. And for comparison, Paris only has 132 miles, which is 214 kilometers of public transportation, and London has 248 miles, which is 400 kilometers. Berlin isn't just big, it's full of charm, character, and things to do. It is home to 3 UNESCO World Heritage Sites. The city boasts the largest department store on the European continent. There are up to 80 Christmas markets. Yes, I will be covering that in another video. And if you're thirsty, Berlin has its own beer specialty called Berliner Weisse, a tangy treat, especially with fruity syrups. This is the famous Rathaus Schöneberg, where Kennedy said, "Ich bin ein Berliner." He actually said he was a donut, but he meant to say that he was a Berliner in support of Berlin. Obviously, you can tell that I love Berlin. I think it's a very fascinating city with a lot going on all the time for all tastes and ages. And if you have any questions, let me know. I've included a few links in the description box for you below if you would like to learn more about Berlin. But also let me know if you would like to have specific aspects of Berlin covered. I would love to do another video. As I said, I am going to do one about Christmas markets coming up, so stay tuned. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.